Okay, welcome back. Okay, so let's see where we are again. We clicked on select filters, we see the list of filters, but if you click on one, it doesn't take an action yet. And what we wanted to do is select that filter and add it to the list over here. So to do that, we need to go to our Add Filters View controller and we need to watch for selections. So the first thing we want to do is override func. And obviously it's going to be one of the table view calls. Oh, and it's the did select row at index path. So perfect. Um, Next, let's see. What do we want to do? The guy has selected a row. Well, we want to go to that model. We want to go to our filters model, and this doesn't have access to the filters model yet. So let's go to back a step to our filters, select filters view controller. This guy has the model. Let's pass it to our add filters view controller so that it'll also have access to the model. We'll do the same trick as before where we know when we go from this view controller to the next one, it's going to call that segue again. So let's go func. What's it called again? Prepare for segue. That's it. Prepare for segue. And what are we going to do? Well, let's see. We're going to do our fancy if let. So we go if let view controller equals. Okay, so we're going to take the segue and we're going to take the destination view controller. And it's not auto completing. Why is that? Oh, it's just slow. Okay, so we got the destination view controller and we'll cast it. We'll say as question mark because we're asking the question, is it one of these? Is it a add filter view controller? So I'll just copy that, go back here and add filter view controller. Great. So if it is an add filter view controller, it will enter this guarded area. So now that we know it, now that we know we've got our view controller, we're going to pass it. So let's just copy this line here. We want our add filter view controller to also have a member called filters model. Okay? Great. Now I want to point out something here. The reason why I'm actually assigning it a filters model here is just a convenience. This way, this class is guaranteed to always have a filters model. In actuality, the way that the filters model, gets populated is right here. So we go view controller dot filters model equals self dot filters model. Oh, yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, what did I miss? Oh, override. Func override. Looks good. Okay, so when we transition from this view controller to the add filters view controller, we pass the filters model. So now we can update that filters model. So let's see. What cell was selected? So this is the method that gets called when an element in that table gets selected. So we're going to do let item, actually I'll say selected item, equals. Okay, so we know that it's displaying all filters, right? And we want the one at the location did select row at index path dot row. Cool, so there's the item. Now we need to add it to the model. So remember, this is a collection of all filters. We want to add it to the filters model. So we'll just say filters model dot filters dot append. And what do we append? The selected item. Nice. Now, oh, let's see. What did I get wrong? It's just index. Right. It's just the index path. And this is the selected item. Okay, now I'm going to run real quick, but it's not actually going to work correctly. And the reason why it's not going to work correctly is we updated the filters model, but we didn't actually tell it, we didn't tell the other view to reread the filters model. So I guess you could trust me, but I'll do it real quick. We'll go filters model, scale intensity. Well, first of all, this doesn't dismiss automatically, and if I go back, it's not in the list. So there's a couple things we need to do. So one, actually I'll show you how to dismiss this automatically. So remember that this view is wrapped in a navigation controller. What we can do is we can just go self.navigation controller, I think it's called. There it is. Dot, and then it's going to be like a pop. Pop view controller animated. That sounds nice. Always take animated. True. Sweet. Okay, and I'll show you one more time that it's not updating, although it will automatically pop now. Now, the question's going to be, how do we get the parent view controller to update the table? We've updated the filters model, but we didn't notify it that the table needs to redraw. So I'm going to go back one more. Now when I go back in, it redrew. Did you catch that? This actually added it, but we didn't see it because this didn't redraw. I can force it by going back and then coming in again, and oh, now it's there. So somehow we have to get the select filters view controller to update. And one of the best ways to do that, I think, is by using the notification center. So we can have different parts of, well, let me just go ahead and do it. So let's go to the selection filter view controller. And we're going to add ourselves. We're going to make ourselves an observer. So I'm going to go ns notification center dot, oh, come on, note, I would be totally lost without command line completion. Okay, dot, come on, default center, that's what we wanted. Let's do it one more time. Right. That gets us the default notification center, which is a pretty easy thing for us to take advantage of. What do we want to do? We want to add ourselves as an observer. So this should be a fairly common, familiar thing. This is the subject observer pattern in action. So we are the observer, so I'll say self. The selector. This is basically the name of a method that we're going to call in here. So I'm going to call it, actually I'll create the method right now. Func, what do we want to call it? We want to call it something like filters updated. That sounds good, because the filter's updated. By the way, this will take what does it take again? An NS notification. Yeah, it takes an NS notification that we're just going to ignore. But I think we have to declare it. So I'm going to say notification. Right. Okay. Reason why I wrote this, I'm going to copy that to the clipboard. The selector is actually the name of the method that you want, followed by a colon. Okay. Last thing, well, object, we're not going to use this, so we'll just say nil. Name. This is actually the name of the notification that's going to fire. So I'm just going to say capital F filters updated. That's what I'm going to use for, signaling that this happened. So this class is now going to start monitoring. Basically, someone can fire this filters updated, and if that happens, then we get that notification and we can take some kind of action. And the action that I want to take is go into my filters table and reload the data. Sweet. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the Add Filters View Controller, and just before we return, we can now fire off that notification. So similar to what we did before, we go to the NS Notification Center, right? Dot default center dot, and in this case we want to post notification. Great. And if we remember the name, I believe it is updated filters. Just double check that. No, it was filters updated. Let's just copy that. Didn't feel right. That's what we want. And once again, we're not using that parameter, so we can just say nil. Okay, I got a good feeling that that could work. So let's run it. Get rid of that window, bring this to the front. Okay, we're waiting for it. It's building. Close some stuff that's going on. Okay, so now I click here. Here's my selected filters. I'm able to click here and I'll do the scale intensity. It added. Click again. Oh, let's add the invert filter. That added too. Let's add another scale intensity. So you get the idea. And now that these are in here, we're able to play with them. I'm able to go back, go to edit. Yay, so that's looking pretty good. Now, next thing we'll want to do is we want the back button to actually cause the image to update. So we'll do that in the next video. But for now, this looks pretty good. I can go here, I can add another filter, and pretty simple stuff. Okay, thank you.